Alright everybody, Space Ghost back for another one. We're going to install our 3060s in our Hydra case here. This is my 8/10 GPU case. I set up for 8 GPUs, get a little extra spacing and stuff. This is the one I made a video on here a while back, that when you buy it, it comes in all the parts and pieces and you got to assemble the case, which is pretty easy to assemble. Not a bad little case for what it is. It's pretty stout, strong. I do have two 1000 watt EVGA G3s in here. I'm only be using one today. When I bought these G3s, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention, and I probably guess I should have. Something you guys need to think about is there's only one peripheral plug, and if you're using Delta fans and you're using the 4-pin Molex on the ASRock H10 board, you may need to have a little different power supply to get your adequate power. There is a SATA power on here. I guess you can use it instead of the Molex, but I haven't ever messed with it, so I may have to verify the usage of the SATA power on the board, which will give me the extra peripheral plug to power my Delta fans. In the house right now, for testing purposes, to kind of get the system up and running, I don't need to run the Delta fans, so I'm not too worried about it. So let's go ahead and get some of these cards in, or the 3 cards installed. As you guys know, I have a MSI GTX, or I'm sorry, wow, RTX 3060 Ti. This is the which was Gaming Trio, or whatever. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, Gaming Trio. And for a 3060, this is a really beefy card. So I would expect that the cooling on this thing should be very, very good. But who knows? So I want to, and it does have 2 8-pin power on it, so a little different than what we're used to. So what we're going to do is I'm going to plug this into here. Maybe if I get it to work right. There it goes. So that gives me power for the board, gives me power to here, and I'm going to use the other plug up on top of that graphics card. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and plug this in. Something like this. We'll go ahead and lock the riser in place. I want to go ahead and hang this thing right here. Pretty snug in there, but we should be okay. This is the only part about having one of these cases like this, is sometimes trying to hang these GPUs can be a bit of a pain, but that's not terrible. You just need a single screw right here, and that's it. She'd be hung. Not well hung. Alright, we'll go ahead and plug in our power here and get my fingers to work right. Hopefully my head's not in the way. I don't think it is. And we got our 8-pin power here. Now, since this card, once it's optimized, is only going to pull 120 watts, I don't have a problem running a single 8-pin off the power supply to do this. If I was to be running a 3080 or something like that, I would run two lines off the power supply to power the card itself. One to the riser, one to the card, and then the second one to the card, to the plug. But I think some of them have 3 three 8-pins on them too, so it's going to require a bit more connections. So all right, we got the first one in, and let's grab the number 2. Now, Zotac cards, pretty small, thin, lightweight. I mean, you can tell in the video, hopefully you guys can see this, the differences in those cards. Now, they're huge differences in size. We'll see how they hash and how they compare in temperature. But, well, let's see here. I need to spin this around this way. All right. Much smaller, lighter weight card. If these Zotac cards perform fairly well, which I hope they do, with just because of the ease of wiring and ease of everything in these cases, these smaller cards, these shorter cards are a lot easier to use because I can run all my wire stuff back here in the back and kind of keep things a little bit tidy. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter. I've ran EVGA cards back here, and they're long like these cards, thin like these, but they're longer, so it's not a big deal. All right, one more. Got this one. Plug in our 8-pin power. Now this Hydra case, I've been pretty fond of them. I have, this is the 5th one that I have. Of course, as you all know, I sold all my cards, so my other 3 cases that I had been using are empty. This is one I've had this case in the house for a little while. Just haven't ever got around to using it. So I'm going to use it to build out my 3060 rig. I have 4 of the 12 GPU ones outside in my shed, but I have not added any more cards yet, so they're empty. All right, that should be it. Like I said, we're not going to be running my Delta fans right now, so I'm going to have to be careful with temperatures. So I'm not worried about my cabling right now. If I was going to be running this system, I would have come down here and do a little cable management and make sure I get these cables kind of tucked down up underneath these cards and keep them away from these Delta fans. These Delta fans, you know, they spin at 4,000 RPM, move about 200 CFM of air, and you don't really want to get wires and stuff stuck in them, cables stuck in them, because, well, they won't last long. Like I said, I do the same thing with the USB cables. I've learned from doing these now that, here I can show you guys. I've learned from doing these Hydra cases that these cables route really well if you kind of bundle them together. Let me get this, I don't know how well you can see it, but I can zip tie them, I can tuck them up underneath these fans, and I can use the fan screw mount holes on this back side right here to hold them down out of place. Tuck them around the CPU fans so the CPU don't get too hot. But that's it. Alrighty, well, I'm going to plug this thing in. We'll fire this thing up. I have a USB drive already set up with Hive on it. And we'll get this thing moved over onto the computer. We'll get it fired up in Hive, and let's do some tuning on it. See what kind of hash rates we can get out of these 3 cards. I'll see you guys over at the computer.